I woke up in the middle of the night, covered in cold sweat, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. The room was shrouded in darkness, and an eerie silence hung in the air, but something felt wrong, terribly wrong. I couldn't shake off the feeling of dread creeping up my spine. I sat up in bed, trying to calm my racing thoughts. Was it just a nightmare? Or was there something more sinister lurking in the shadows? I strained my ears, listening intently for any unusual sounds, but all I could hear was the rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall. Suddenly, a faint whisper echoed through the room, sending shivers down my spine. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. It sounded like a voice, a disembodied whisper that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at the same time. Fear gripped me like a vice as I realized I was not alone in the room. There was something else with me, something unseen and malevolent. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body felt paralyzed, as if held captive by an invisible force. And then, in the darkness, I saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me. My blood ran cold as I realized the truth. Whatever was in the room with me was not human. It was something else, something beyond comprehension. I continued to run through the forest, my footsteps echoing hollowly against the ground. My heart pounded so loudly it felt like it would burst out of my chest. I couldn't understand what was happening, and fear drove me to act on pure instinct. Through the dense branches of the trees, faint rays of light penetrated, creating a mystical atmosphere. Suddenly, I heard a rustle behind me and whirled around, but again no one was there. My nerves were on edge, and I realized I had to find a way out of this nightmare. I kept running, ignoring the pain in my legs and the exhaustion creeping in. Finally, I emerged into a clearing bathed in moonlight. Gasping for breath, I looked around and froze in terror. Standing in the clearing was something horrifying. It was a figure cloaked in black, the same one I had seen outside my house. It stood there motionless, as if waiting for me. My body filled with cold dread, and I knew I could no longer run. Step by step, I approached the figure, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure it could hear it. When I was just a few feet away, it slowly raised its hand and pointed to the ground in front of it. My trembling hand reached out and touched the ground, and suddenly I felt everything around me begin to fade away. The forest, the clearing, even the sky all became hazy and unreal. I realized it was the end, but I didn't understand what would come after. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on cold stone. Around me were walls adorned with strange symbols, emitting a dim light. I shivered, realizing that I was once again in an unfamiliar place. However, this time I felt that this place held some significance, that here lay the key to unraveling the mystery. I got up from the stone and began to explore the room. In the center stood an altar with a fire burning on it, casting eerie shadows on the walls. My heart raced as I approached the altar and began to examine the mysterious objects laid upon it. Among them, I saw an amulet made of a precious gem emitting a soft light. Something inside me urged me towards this amulet, as if it were the key to my salvation. I grabbed it and put it on, feeling its warmth seep into my skin. Suddenly I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw a figure standing in the dark passage. It was cloaked in black, but this time I could see its face. It was me. Confusion and horror overwhelmed me. How could it be me? I tried to understand what was happening, but my mind was filled with so many questions that it felt like my head would split open. The figure approached me and raised its hand, pointing to the door at the end of the room. I understood that I needed to go there, that the answer to all my questions lay beyond. I stepped off the altar and slowly made my way to the door, feeling each step bringing me closer to the truth. As I approached the door, it opened before me, and I entered the next chamber. It was even more mysterious than the previous one, and I knew that here, in this place, I would find all the answers. When I entered the next chamber, I was overcome with horror. Before me stood a wall adorned with images of my own nightmares and fears. I was stunned, seeing my darkest thoughts and terrifying visions materialize before me. But my heart pounded so fiercely that I was certain it would burst out of my chest. I realized that I had to hold on to myself, that something here was pushing me towards the end of this journey. I continued forward, ignoring my own fears and doubts. Eventually, I reached the center of the room, where a table stood with an open book upon it. I approached and began to read. The lines on the pages seemed familiar, as if I had seen them somewhere before. They described my own thoughts, my fears, my hopes. I realized that this book was my own life, written on the pages of time. Suddenly, the book began to glow with a bright light, blinding me. I closed my eyes, but the light pierced through them, causing me to see bright flashes and flickering images. I felt something inside me begin to change, as if I were becoming a part of this book, of this world. When the light faded, I remained standing in the same place, but something was different. I no longer felt fear or doubt. I was freed from the anxieties that had plagued me before. I looked around me and realized that this place was no longer foreign to me. I was home, in my own world, which I had created with my thoughts and feelings. Now I understood that this was a trial I had to undergo to understand myself and find my path. I was ready to return to the real world, but I knew that I would never forget what I had learned here, in this place, in this book, in my own soul. As I returned to the real world, my eyes opened to the familiar surroundings of my apartment. I lay on the floor, feeling as though I had just awakened from a strange dream. But what I had experienced was much more than a dream. My thoughts were clear, my view of the world changed. I understood that each of us carries our own world within us, full of mysteries and puzzles, and that only by exploring ourselves and our feelings can we find true understanding. I got up from the floor and walked to the window, where I could see the street outside, shrouded in mist. The fear that once gripped me had vanished, and I felt free from the chains of my own fears. Now I knew that I was not afraid of the darkness, of the unknown, or even of myself. I was ready for any challenges that life would bring me, because now I knew that their true meaning lay within me, in my own soul. Although much time has passed since that extraordinary adventure, its influence remained strong and indelible. Now I knew that my story had only just begun, and that every new day would bring me new discoveries and adventures, which I would embrace with an open heart and confidence. So ended my journey into the world of my own fears and doubts, and I was ready to move forward, encountering whatever awaited me with confidence and determination. After many years of adventures and explorations, I gained an understanding that the true journey begins within ourselves. It is here, in the depths of our own consciousness, that we find the answers to the most important questions and the source of our strength and wisdom. Returning to my cozy apartment, I realized that true happiness is not found in external achievements or material wealth, but in the depth of our own hearts. Here, in moments of silence and tranquility, I found true peace. My adventures did not cease, but now they were filled with a new meaning and purpose. I sought to share my experiences and knowledge with others, helping them find their own inner light and the meaning of life. The world around me continued to change, but I remained true to myself and my ideals. I knew that only those who follow their hearts can find true happiness and fulfillment. Now, as I sit here, reminiscing about that journey, I understand that every moment was precious, every step important. My life became an incredible adventure, full of meaning and significance. I am not afraid of the future, because I know that my strength and wisdom will help me overcome any obstacles that life presents me. I am ready for new adventures, new challenges, and I will move forward with confidence and resolve, knowing that everything I need to succeed lies within me. The next chapter of my life begins today, and I am ready for every new day, every new adventure, with inspiration and joy in my heart. Years have passed since that day when I conquered my fears and doubts, delving into the depths of my soul. But the memories of that adventure have always remained with me, reminding me of the importance of facing life's challenges with an open heart. I have continued my journey, facing new trials and overcoming them, learning from my mistakes and growing with each new day. The world around me has changed, but my inner strength has remained constant, and I knew that I could overcome any difficulties that came my way. My adventures have taken me to the far corners of the world, where I have encountered different cultures, people, and ideas. Each encounter has brought me a new lesson, a new experience, and I have become richer not in material possessions, but in spirit. Now, as I sit here in my comfortable home, reflecting on that journey, I realize that every moment was valuable, every step important. My life has become an incredible adventure filled with meaning and purpose. I am not afraid of the future because I know that my strength and wisdom will guide me through whatever challenges lie ahead. I am ready for whatever life brings me with an open heart and confidence in myself. Today marks the end of my story, but it is also the beginning of a new chapter. I am ready to face whatever the future holds, with inspiration and joy in my heart. As I entered the next chapter, I felt a wave of horror wash over me. In front of me was a wall adorned with depictions of my own nightmares and fears. I was stunned, witnessing my darkest thoughts and terrifying visions materialize before my eyes. My heart pounded so fiercely that I was certain it would burst out of my chest. I knew I had to hold on to myself, as something in this place was pushing me towards the culmination of this journey. I pressed on, disregarding my own fears and doubts. Eventually, I reached the center of the room, where a table stood with an open book upon it. I approached and began to read. The lines on the pages seemed familiar, as if I had seen them somewhere before. They described my own thoughts, my fears, my hopes. I realized that this book was my own life, written on the pages of time. Suddenly, the book began to glow with a bright light, blinding me. I closed my eyes, but the light pierced through them, causing me to see bright flashes and flickering images. I felt something inside me begin to change, as if I were becoming a part of this book, of this world. When the light faded, I remained standing in the same place, but something was different. I no longer felt fear or doubt. I was freed from the anxieties that had plagued me before. I looked around me and realized that this place was no longer foreign to me. I was home, in my own world, which I had created with my thoughts and feelings. Now I understood that this was a trial I had to undergo to understand myself and find my path. I was ready to return to the real world, but I knew that I would never forget what I had learned here, in this place, in this book, in my own soul. Under the starry sky, illuminated by thousands of lights, I stand, feeling the night breeze and the tranquility of this night permeating every fiber of my being. In my soul, there is no room for fear or doubt anymore, only a deep sense of acceptance and understanding. My life has been filled with adventures, trials, and discoveries, but the most important thing I've learned is that true happiness lies within us. It is in these moments of stillness and peace that I find true contentment. I rise from the floor and approach the window, where I gaze out at the mist-covered street below. The fear that once held me captive has vanished, replaced by a sense of freedom and inner peace. Now I know that I am not afraid of the future, of the unknown, or even of myself. I am prepared for whatever challenges life may bring, because I know that their true meaning lies within me, in my own soul. Though my extraordinary journey may have come to an end, a new chapter of my life begins today. I embrace each new day with open arms, knowing that every moment holds the potential for growth and discovery. Under the stars, I stand ready for whatever the future may bring, filled with inspiration and joy in my heart.